So shortly after making that video about the Rabbit, all the driving stuff and whatnot, I drove it to work the next day and it blew up on the way home. I don't know what happened to it, but I think the oil pump broke and it stopped putting oil to the crank because threw a rod out the block. There she is. So I guess you guys are gonna get to see me pull a motor. I don't know if you can see it. You probably can't see it, but down there's a window in the case where the motor or the rod came out of the block. So today I'm headed down to a salvage yard where I found another block to buy, a long block to buy, which is just the motor without all the accessories and stuff on it. And I'm taking with me the original motor out of the Rabbit. It's been sitting on my property for a couple of years now. I'm glad to get rid of it, but it's loaded up in the back of the truck. That's the original motor. There's another extra P pump right there too. These are worth a lot of money, so I'm taking that basically for that, and let's see if they want this engine. I was calling it a motor, but it is an engine. Motors are electric. Engines are internal combustion. But yeah, that's my story. All Volkswagen, just a ton of them. So I'm gonna come get my Baja body when I do one. Look at that. Everywhere. Where am I going? Pull over here and get out, maybe? I don't know. We'll find out. Well, I'm back. That was a like 7.5 hour drive. Beautiful out today. It's actually a really nice drive. I got to drive through Joshua Tree, and those desert cities are really cool. There's like a bunch of people out doing artwork and stuff. It was pretty rad. But the new motor's here, so. Well, I got her off the trailer. It's about to start working on it, but look at that. Yeah. I think it's leaking oil. I'm gonna put something under there so it doesn't make too big of a mess. It's kind of nasty out here. Cat shit on my oil pan. Crazy. Oh man, if I put this down there without cleaning that up, it's gonna be a problem. All right, I'm gonna work on this real quick. All right, I'm getting started on taking apart this, or getting the engine out of here. I probably should disconnect those first, but I didn't. I started over here. I'm removing the turbo piping, and I was like, wait a minute, I'm supposed to be recording this. So that's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna start taking apart all this shit off the top, and then so I can get down to the motor mounts and start taking all that stuff off. I'll get the my lifts underneath it. These guys right there, those quick jacks. Here's the new motor. Well, new to me engine. But yeah, maybe I'll set up a tripod with the camera on it and do like a what was it, high speed. All right, I got that stuff kind of taken apart, the turbo piping and such. I'm about to take and put it up on these lifts so I can drain the fluids out of it. I need to drain the oil and drain the coolant so it doesn't make a mess when I start pulling it out. Much better spot. Now I'm not bending over so crazy to work on it. All right. Oh man. Oh my God. Oh, Jesus. That should not be that tight. Why did it get so tight? Is there any gunk on that? Nope. Well, it's not a magnetic one anyway, so you wouldn't be able to tell. Oil's draining. It is a mess. Okay. So while the oil is draining, I'm gonna go ahead and take off all the positive and negative and start disconnecting all the wiring. There's all these connectors I have to take off. I'll just throw them up here in preparation for putting the next motor in. Yeah, pretty easy. So that was all the electrical. So the electrical is unplugged from the car, and I still have the alternator to undo, but most of the electrical is done. So that means my fuel pump can stay connected. That means I have left to do. I have to drain the coolant and start disconnecting the coolant lines, and that's it. And then I can disconnect. Oh, I have to disconnect the axles. I take the wheels off, disconnect the axles from the transmission. They go, you can see one right there, and the other one's right there. Disconnect those. Oh, it's gonna be a pain in the butt. I don't wanna do it. But disconnect those and then hook up my lift and pull the engine out. It's literally that easy. Just disconnect some stuff, and yeah, putting it back together is a little bit more complicated, but just a backwards version of this. Well, I haven't been working on the Rabbit for a couple days because it's been pretty nasty and rainy and chilly, but we got kind of a nice sunny morning. I think we were expecting some rain tonight or this afternoon. I built this in the meantime. I got that going so I can have a little bit of warmth while I work on this. So here we go. All right, that's draining. I'm gonna start taking off the clutch cable here. So I'm just trying to do some stuff that I can do up here while it's draining. I feel like I might want to take my master cylinder off just so that I could the engine can clear it easier. You see how that's kind of in the way when you're pulling the motor out, but I'm sure I could wiggle the motor over and pull it out to get it around that, but I remember messing up this plug when I put it in. I will probably take the radiator out once I get the get it drained, and then we have to disconnect the heater hoses. That goes into the heater inside, and then the fuel lines also. It's like I got a little bit of things I can do up here while it's draining and making a mess. So I think it was Steve was asking me about the condenser, if I had it in here and how I had it mounted. I just like cheesily have it screwed, you know, like just like self-tapping screws. I got a couple down below too, but there's a decent shot of the radiator there. I don't know if this condenser is going to be a problem with like heat soak and that kind of stuff when it comes summer, but it's been working pretty good so far. And here's how I got the radiator mounted. I made little brackets to mount the radiator in here, and then I did what do you call those, nut certs at the bottom, and yeah, that's it. So it just bolts just like it would in a normal car. You know, that bottom flange there goes over a stud, and then a nut goes on top of it, and then this little bracket here, it holds it in. It's really solid in there too. But I'm going to take this out to give me some more room for the motor to pull out this way. I think I might have to move that too, like I said. But that's how the radiator is in there. All right, radiator's out, and now you can see my bottom mounts. These are the stock mounts that were in the Rabbit, but they were way over there. And I just took and untwisted them because they have a stud on the back side of them. Moved them over here, put a nut cert in there. Same thing over here, nut cert there, and then reinstalled the stock little rubber mounts. Works out pretty good. See how much more room I have there to pull that motor out now? I think it's going to be great. Pull off a few more lines and yank this thing out. I'm starting to kind of get in a roll here, and I got the starter all unplugged, and this you know, the coolant reservoir out of here, or expansion tank I think you call them in these kind of cars. Now I'm taking the clutch cable off, which I've already loosened. Little trick is you put a wrench on here and you can pull it, you can apply the clutch a little bit. I'm just gonna have the clutch on it. Pull the cable off. I don't know if you guys can see that. Pull the clutch cable out. Just kind of set it off to the side here. I'm gonna try to get everything out here so that when I pull the motor, it's all out of the way. What else can I do over here? I am gonna loosen this just in case if it does hit it, it gives a little bit, it doesn't break anything. I don't know if you're into old cars or not, but these reservoirs for the old cars are getting impossible to find. Yeah. What am I going to do next? Let's undo the fuel line. What do these look like? 17? Well, you guys missed it because my battery died, but I got the fuel lines disconnected, and I believe I have to replace these washers every time you take that off. So I'm going to order up some of those. There's some washers down here. Yeah. And I was trying to get my windshield washer fluid reservoir out of here, which is leaks like crazy. That's why it's got that rubber stuff painted on it, trying to get it to work right, but it doesn't quite hold the fluid, which sucks. If you guys know of anybody that has a MK1 washer bottle, let me know. I'd love to have it. But yeah. So I just disconnected the alternator and noticed that all these cables, these wires are all torched. See how it's all melted? And I also noticed that the wire for the oil, this wire here for the oil pressure was also toasted, but I think, and my dipstick was melted, so I'm assuming that's because it got so hot. There's where you can see what happened. That's the That's the end of the rod there that's on the crank. And it looks like, I don't know, I can't really tell from here, but I'll pull the oil pan off and we'll look at it when I get it completely apart. We can see if we could diagnose what actually went wrong, what actually happened. Okay, that's where I'm at now. I have very little to do. I think it's motor mounts, axles. I think that's it. Get all the wires pulled away. Obviously I'll have to redo those wires, but I think they could be a little shorter. I think they can just go, I can just cut that off and put a new end on it and do it just like that. Keep it out of the way of all that stuff there. Yeah. I don't see anything else. Oh, the heater hoses. Forgot those. So the heater hoses have to come off. Which that'll take a second. Oh, the exhaust. Well, that's all under the car stuff. I'd like to get everything above the car done now. So I'm gonna take those heater hoses off. And that should be it for the top side of the motor. One thing I noticed is that my brake fluid reservoir, the back looks like it's empty. I'm wondering if I've been driving it with only front brakes. That would be kind of terrifying, wouldn't it? But look at how low that is. The back is dry. I'm pretty sure the back is dry. So I'll probably fill that up and see if I can, maybe those are the rear brakes, I don't know. But I didn't feel like it wasn't braking very well, so it's kind of crazy. Yeah. All right, so I'm underneath the car now, and I've kind of loosely zip tied the axles back to the chassis, so that way they won't just fall down here uncontrollably in the way and shit, you know. And this one's gonna be supported by the exhaust, and hopefully I'll probably zip tie the exhaust up right here so it doesn't just fall down uncontrollably. So I've got to take these, the axles off, and then I start doing motor mounts like this one here, and then this one here I think I can get from up above, and then this one over here I have to get from down here. But before I do the motor mounts, I'll take the weight with the lift, but that's it. So I've got the exhaust, axles, and then motor mounts, and then pull it out. Then I have to take all the good stuff off of this motor and put it on the other motor. It got kind of chilly, so I decided to close the garage door and get my other engine up on the engine stand. So I got that off the ground. It was sitting on that car dolly. But yeah, so I'll be cleaning this thing all up and getting it ready to go into that car to replace the other motor that's in there. It's got a big hole in it. The hole in the other one is like right here. Oh, I bet you I burnt that sensor off too. Dang it. Doesn't matter, I have that one. Yeah. Probably start on that tomorrow. I may break these videos up into series and have, you know, pulling of the motor and then the swapping of the parts in one, and then because you can see this, there's no turbo on that one or anything, so no trans. Yeah, that's probably what I'll do, is break it in and put in installing the motor and first start and that kind of stuff, refilling the fluids, first start and all that. I got some stuff done today. Stoked about that. Well, it's another day, and I've got the new engine out here. I just hosed it down with some engine cleaner real quick, I want to start with a nice clean engine, so I kind of sprayed it down real quick. Oh, I should get some more right there. I just sprayed it down real quick with some engine cleaner. We had a few more bolts to take out, well, the engine mounts to take out to get this guy out of here. Yeah, I moved my motorcycle so I have room to work. I'm putting both of the engines over there. Well, I'm going to put both the engines over there once I get this one out. But yeah, I'm going to get this thing kind of cleaned up a little bit. So I'm working with. All right, I think I got that pretty clean. I'm gonna replace the valve cover and the oil pan anyways, so I'm not worried about those being clean, but everything else is fairly clean enough for me to work on it at least. And I'm about ready to pull out this the other motor. Well, that was a pain in that butt, but it's out. And just like I suspected, that brake was difficult to get this around the brake. I destroyed that gasket, which I'm gonna have to find and fix, but that's no big deal. It's out. Now I'm gonna go set it down on the dolly there and get started. And there's the culprit right there. Looks like the whole rod end is, oh dude, it's all banged up. But the bolt snapped. I wonder why it did that. That's the crank right there. And that's the end of the rod. The piston is connected to the end of this. But that was the failure point. All right, so now it's time to start swapping all my good parts from this engine to that engine. I'm also gonna do a new oil pan and valve cover, because this was leaking. Or that one was leaking. I don't know about this one, but I have it, might as well do it. Oh man, cool. Well, that part's done. Got the engine out and went to the auto parts store and got gaskets and all the stuff that I need to do, like a timing belt, water pump, you know, all the gaskets to swap all the parts over from this engine to this engine. This is the one that I'm gonna be putting in the car. It's the one I just got at the salvage yard. But it doesn't have any accessories. You see how different they look? You know, all the oil stuff is missing off this one. The alternator is missing. All the turbo is missing, and all the intake and exhaust, all the stuff on the backside here is all missing. But that's pretty easy stuff to do. Hopefully it'll take me a day, and we got some pretty foul weather coming. So I got my heater set up in here. So tomorrow, I'm hoping that when it's dumping rain outside, I can be in here just chilling, working on this engine. And hopefully I'll be able to drop it back in the next couple days. Yeah, I'll do a video of you know, me taking the parts off and putting them on the other engine. I'll do a video of the timing belt, and there's some special stuff that, because this is out of a 2003 TDI Beetle, and it's going in a, you know, it's 80s Rabbit, so the motor mounts are different. This one doesn't have that motor mount in it, so I have to cut this here. There's some special stuff that needs to happen while I'm doing all this swapping of parts and whatnot. So yeah, I'll document all that stuff on the next video, post it up hopefully in the next couple days, and yeah, hopefully get this thing running again. I need my miles per gallon car, my nice commuter. It's a lot of fun to drive too. Wish me luck.